Ladies and gentlemen, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, and a hey now, and a hey now. Welcome to a Monday edition of the Line Talk 99.5 and Talk995.com as we get set up and ready to go today. Just doing a little adjustment here. Yes, cold as balls, as they say. I think that's what they say. I was shocked when I woke up this morning and I looked at the kind of like I'm planning out what I'm gonna do, like what I'm gonna wear for the day. Now I don't have a very big wardrobe, but the weather can dictate whether or not I wear shorts, and that usually falls around 40 something degrees, right? That's my biggest obstacle of the morning is like, do I wear pants or am I allowed to wear shorts? I look at my phone, 23 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on?
Welcome to winter. It finally showed up.
How did this happen? How did we get here? Sucks, man. I hate this cold weather. I hate cold weather more than I used to. I actually used to like it when I was a big guy. When I was like, 300 something pounds. I love the cold weather. Like that was for me. And a big part of it was because I would like to wear baggy clothes. Like the bigger you are, the more, well, at least as a man, the bigger you are, the baggier you want your clothes to be. And so winter was the ticket. That was what I liked. And so now, thanks to Mandu, I get cold a lot easier, and it's just miserable. I mean, it makes your insides feel like they're dying or whatever. It sucks. It sucks. But glad to be back, man, as per usual. In the day and age of Donald Trump, there's a lot going on as we will get to today. Hope everybody had a good weekend. What about you, Steve? Did you have a good weekend?
I had a pretty good weekend, yeah. I mean, once we got past Saturday and all that just ridiculous amount of rain and everything, that was just...
Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
That was the worst.
I forgot about that. I woke up and Trish was watching James Spann on her phone. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, that must mean there's a tornado. And I went back to sleep.
No, I had to get up because I got that racing show that I do on Saturday mornings. I had to drive out to Anniston in that crap.
Oh,
it was
man.
not fun.
That's brutal. Yeah. What about, I see you wearing your Patriots jersey today. Did they win yesterday?
Stayed up late last night, watched them win 16-3.
16-3. And who did they play?
The former San Diego, now Los Angeles Chargers. I'm still used to calling them San Diego.
Anything that is Los Angeles, I'm against. So I'm glad they lost. I don't necessarily like the Patriots. I've got this hatred for the Patriots dating back to Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. But
yeah, you and I talked about that in the past.
And so however, I think my disdain in 2026 for Los Angeles is much more than what it is for the Patriots. So I'm glad they lost. I didn't really watch much of it, with the exception of the Bears Green Bay game.
Mm-hmm.
I watched maybe the second half of that, and then watched a little bit of, what was I watching Sunday morning? What was the CBS game Sunday morning?
Bills Jaguars.
Bills Jaguars. Yeah. I watched some of that. I watched the end of it, and then I watched probably 5 minutes of the Eagles game. So you had wins from the Bears, the Eagles, right?
Yep.
The Bills,
49ers, Patriots, and I'm trying to remember the first game of the weekend.
Wait, who did the 49ers beat?
49ers beat the Eagles.
Okay, so the Eagles didn't win.
No, they didn't.
Oh, okay. So 49ers, Bills, Bears, Patriots, and then, the one I want to see Aaron Rodgers make it all the way.
Tonight? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see tonight because they've got the Texans tonight, Monday Night Football.
Oh, they can handle that. Come on, Steelers.
Texans got a good defense. I don't know about their offense, though.
I like the Steelers this year because Aaron Rodgers is a vaccine denier, and I'm for that. Not really. Not a vaccine denier. He's not a vaccine denier. But he was one that was brave enough to come out and say that, the COVID shot wasn't necessarily a good thing. So I'm pulling for him. Plus, he's old as dirt. I don't know that he's got any more. Is this his last year?
He's talking about it. He hasn't figured out whether or not he's going to come back yet or not.
He's going to have to hang it up at some point. So
they all do.
I'll since I don't have a team, since the Chiefs sucked this year, I'll just pull for. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll pull for the Steelers. Yeah.
Chubb Father is going to be very pleased you said that.
Yeah. I'm going to go Steelers. I never agree with Will on football, but I'll give him one this year. I'll give him one. Wait, is there anybody else I would rather see?
I don't know.
I kind of wanted to see the Jags win.
Well, that's done.
And I wanted to see Carolina win.
No, that's also done. That's the other game.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the other game. Now that's it. You mentioned Los Angeles. They lost to the Rams.
It was Carolina versus
the Rams.
And then the Jags versus the Bills.
The Bills.
Okay. Yeah, only because they've sucked as of late, both the Jags and Carolina. So I thought it'd be cool to see them make it, but not this year. So yeah. Anyway, I'll stick with the Steelers only because of Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. I don't want people to get it twisted to think I support the whole team. I support the quarterback. I want to see the quarterback win.
I think Will would take it either way.
You'll just don't get things twisted up. All right, so this is day 1 of 2 that you got me this week. I'm going to be.
I forgot you're on vacation this week.
Yeah,
wow.
Going out of town, man. I'm going to, and I checked the weather down in Tampa, and it's not, like this past week it was like 82 degrees down there, but while I'm down there, it's going to be like 50s. Maybe creep into the 60s.
See, here's the thing about that, though. You're going to be ultimately comfortable, but you're going to be walking around with all those Florida people who aren't used to it. And they're going to be bundled up looking like Nanook of the North.
Yeah, they're going to be freezing. I'm like, dude, I came from the great white north, man. Birmingham, Alabama was 23 degrees one day. All right? I can handle this. All right, hey, now, roll call. Also, I got something going on with my shoulder, man. Like, I need a remedy to figure out what's going on with this because yesterday it started killing me.
Did you sleep on it wrong or something?
I don't know, dude, but it's my right shoulder, and it's like, I've had issues with it in the past where it hurts, and, people are like, it's your rotator cuff or something like that, but, ultimately it ended up getting better, but now it's killing me again, and I don't want to have to go on vacation with a broken rotator cuff. It's it almost feels like it's in my back, like in my shoulder blade almost. Actually, it's kind of all over. It goes from the shoulder to kind of the shoulder blade on the backside. But I don't know what all that means. I mean, is there something I can do for that? Like, can I like slap a lidocaine patch on it or something?
Guess you could try it. I don't know.
Or maybe take some ibuprofen.
Mr. Miyagi out of Karate Kid.
Yeah. But I mean, like if I take ibuprofen, you think that would help it?
I think it would dull the pain, yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do that. I'm used to taking ibuprofen for like headaches. So I didn't know if like that applies to the rest of the body.
Yeah, it should work for body aches too.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Yeah, you'll go ahead and send me the suggestions on that because it hurts, man. And I don't need to be uncomfortable during this show. I need to be on top of my game. All right. Hey, now, roll call on this Monday. Let's see what we got here. Going back to the early birds with Tracy, Bo, Jeff with the J's, Jay, Mike from Canada, all coming in just a tad bit too early, which puts in the number 1 spot for this Monday. It is the one and the only. Of course, maybe there's more of him. I don't know. Shane from Berry Mountain. Hey now. Shane from Berry Mountain. Congratulations, Shane. Send us your song there, buddy. Gene at number 2 and Rusty at number 3. Then you got Bubba Rumble, Ron, Jeremy, Maggie, Heath, Hippie with the J's. You got Cherry and Clay. You got Mark. And you've got, it says Lummy from Diamond Golf Cars. Is that right? Did they spell her name right? Lummy? Actually, I know
Lummy? Lumi?
Lumi? Is it
I don't know.
Lumi?
Could be either one.
All right, shout out to everybody at Diamond Golf Carts. Those are my people over there. Mississippi, Neil, Kathy, Rick. Hell yeah, Ricky. You got Leslie, Tommy, Trent, Mark, and Kim, and Michael, and Bree, and Joel, and Joe, and Julie. And everybody, hey now. And the Boomer, of course. Can't miss Boomer. Hey now, hey now. All right. Oh, here we go. People are starting to send in this suggestion. Let me go through these real quick before we break. Tony says, Andrew, use the tens unit. I didn't think about that.
I forgot you had one.
But what is
that actually might not be a bad call.
I think it's at the podcast studio, though. Let me text Tony and see. Trish says it's because you sleep with your arm in the air or lay on it with your arm up. She claims when I'm asleep that I'm like doing a Heil Hitler deal in my sleep, like I'm holding my arm up. And I'm like, first of all, don't take a picture of that and post it on the internet because I'll get canceled. But 2, I don't think I really do it. I mean, why would I do that? Why would I be putting my arm in the air?
I mean, I guess the question would be, what are you dreaming about?
Yeah. I don't want to know what I'm dreaming about. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it is. I just know it hurts. So the tens unit, let me get on that. What else? Let's see. Oh, I gotta go through these. This one says, Robbie says, hey, Andrew, those pains are called getting older, and it don't get no better, brother. JD says, Andrew, ibuprofen is an anti-inflammatory, so it will help with the inflammation in your shoulder. Okay, well, I'm going to pop some ibuprofen, cool. I just need to know. I mean, hopefully it's just, hopefully Trish is right, and I am just, oh, she said she does have pictures. That's not good.
Well, at least she could show them to you. That way, prove it to you.
Well, if she ever gets mad at me, she can post them on the internet.
Well, that's also true.
Cost me our livelihood. So hopefully that's all it is, and it's just sore. But because I'm a hypochondriac at times, you know, I'm like, oh, my shoulder's broken, or you know, I've got a whatever. You know, I'm on WebMD and I've got shoulder cancer or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but let's take this break so I can pop some ibuprofen, and then I'll give you guys a step-by-step update on how my anti-inflammatory goes. How's that sound? 205-545-9950. Kicking it off right after this. Okay. Maggie says, are you putting your arm out at night or is something in the room grabbing your arm like a spirit? I don't know, man. I did have some weird dreams last night, and I can't remember what they were now, but they were pretty wild. And I kept waking. It was one of those dreams that keeps waking you up. Not like falling off a cliff or whatever, but like there's just some where it's like it's hard to sleep. No, nothing's grabbing my arm. I'm not even going to entertain that idea. I don't know. I'm reaching for something. It's 2026 and I'm reaching for my goals. That's what I'm doing. Trish says also I do the same thing with my knee. Like I kind of put my knee up and block her view of the TV. Not like sticking my leg in the air, but like, my legs bent and my knees up. And that is true because I actually do that before I fall asleep. But anyway, I don't know. I just popped some. How many times do I got to mute my phone? It keeps going off. So yeah, I don't. I took some of the ibuprofen during the break, and so we'll see how that pans out. Also, people were asking me. So I've been doing this thing. Normally I cook for the family on Sunday nights, and over the past couple times, I've finished what I'm cooking and I look at it and I'm like, wow, that looks really good. I should post it on social media and make Richard Dixon jealous. And I did it again last night, and some people were like asking, what is that? What is that? Like sticking their nose up at it.
So what was it?
It was a Philly cheesesteak on hot dog buns. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Because I don't like the McRib style sandwich bread, I prefer something that's like cut on the top in the middle to where it's like a taco or like a hot dog bun.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I see where you're going with that.
And I couldn't find any except for the top cut hot dog buns. And I was like, man, I'll just use that.
Okay.
What's the big deal? So I used that. It was good. The Philly cheesesteak was good. I get this, whatever it is, shaved beef that comes in the little black containers. And what I did this time was in the pan first, I take diced onions, and cut up bell pepper, and a little bit of diced garlic, fresh garlic. And I throw it in the pan and I cook it for a minute. And then I throw the meat in there and then I start cooking the meat, add a little salt, add a little pepper. And once it's all good and cooked, I then dump it out. I serve it, put it in the hot dog bun, top it with mozzarella cheese, shredded mozzarella cheese. And then I just do like a dash of Italian seasoning on top of it, which I'm not really sure why I do that. I think because it just looks cool. And serve it up, and it was absolutely delicious. I ate 2 of them last night. They were so good. And so that's been my thing over the past 2 days. I made tacos the night before, so I was trying to make a couple dishes so we have dinner for the next 2 days, like leftovers, so we don't have to dirty up the kitchen before we go on our trip. Because when we go anywhere, the house has to be pristine. The house has to be perfect for Trish. She's she is a stickler for a cleanly house. So, and I help sometimes too. Like I take the garbage out, and sometimes I'll be like, "Hey, you missed a spot." I don't really tell her that. I do help, but it is a lot of work. But anyway, that's all beside the point. The dinner was a Philly cheesesteak. It was a white trash Philly cheesesteak. That's what I'm going to name it.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
White trash Philly cheese on a hot dog bun. And then I cooked Arby's curly fries with it. And it was great. It was fantastic. And I'm going to have it again tonight. Anyway, 205-545-9950. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you need to be doing that. Real Talk 99.5 TV. You can watch the camera that is right here in the studio. Watch the radio show live. Real Talk 99.5 TV. Jump on the YouTube channel and type in the chat, hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, to let us know you're hanging out with us on there. Lot to get to. We'll make that happen when we get back on the other side. Hang tight. Jeff says, if you're having any arthritis or inflammatory problems, start taking turmeric. I was going to have knee surgery for a torn meniscus. Started taking turmeric 2 weeks prior, and then I canceled my surgery because all the pain was gone. Dang. Listen, I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in, call it holistic medicine or whatever. I know some people, and I had a conversation this weekend with somebody who, when I brought up the idea of holistic medicine, they were like, well, I don't believe that crap. That's just, And when I asked why, it was because they picture that as, some hippie lady sitting crisscross applesauce with a bunch of candles burning and she's reading your tarot cards. I'm like, no, that's not what that is. Like, that's not what that is at all. It's just taking natural things and applying it, to what's going on in your body. And ultimately, a lot of it works, man. There's stuff all over this planet that helps alleviate ailments. And it's the reason that it was put on this planet. And a lot of it, sometimes it's used for other things or whatever, but, I believe in that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, my good friend Nathan and Courtney own a place over in Aniana called The Root. And that's what they do. And they've helped so many people overcome ailments that they've gotten the runaround about for years and years and years. Doctor after doctor not being able to help them. And they go down there and, do some tests and do this, that, and the other, and give them some organic medicines. And next thing you know, they're good. They're good to go. They have stuff like, this is an example. So, like, in your body, there are, like, parasites, if you will. And it's could be a ton of different reasons that you've got parasites in your body. And it just eats away at your immune system, and it keeps you sick, and it keeps you hurting and everything else. And they do stuff like detox, like a foot bath detox or whatever, and ends up solving a lot of people's problems. And I've seen it firsthand. That's why I believe in it. And so, it's not far-fetched for me to believe that turmeric could stop your arthritis or your inflammation. I believe it. I'm a believer. By the way, if y'all ever want to check those guys out, friends of mine for, 20 plus years, it's called The Root Health and Wellness over in Oneonta, Alabama. If y'all want some info on that, hit me up. I get you hooked right on up. All right, let's get into some headlines, shall we? First up, maybe one of my favorite stories from over the weekend, top 3 at least. Federal prosecutors have launched a criminal investigation into Fed Chair Jerome Powell. That's right. Jerome Powell is now under the gun for allegedly lying to Congress. And this goes back to the big hubbub in the first place, where they essentially lied about how much they were going to be spending to renovate the Federal Reserve. It went from, started off at like 1.9 billion, then all of a sudden it's 2.5 billion, and they're like, well, you're gonna do that. It's government at work, by the way. Everything that over the past several decades, and maybe even further, the bureaucracy in Washington has always taken projects that should cost X amount of dollars and gotten the price jacked up to unspeakable amounts. And no president in the past had ever worried about it. They just like, it's not our money. Plus they're paying back contractors, people that had donated to them during their campaigns, so on and so forth. Trump was the first one to come in and say, no, dude, if you want to overcharge us, the government, which ultimately equals charge the taxpayers above what any particular project is worth, we don't want it. Remember the renovations to Air Force One? Trump talking to Boeing. Boeing's like, well, Mr. President, this plane's going to be, $7 billion or whatever. I'm just making that number up, but I think it was something like that. $7 billion, Mr. President, to build this Air Force One. And he's like, how about no? Well, Mr. President, that's what it cost. He's like, well, I don't want it. I don't want it. Don't worry about it. Now, if you can get that number closer to 2.5, then we'll talk. Well, Mr. President, we can't do that. All right, well, I don't want it. Hangs up the phone. A couple days later, they call back. Well, Mr. President, we've gotten the price down to $5.5 billion. He's like, what did I tell you? I don't want it. I'm not paying that. We're not paying that. The American taxpayer not paying that price. It's not worth it. Well, that's all we can do. All right, bye. Hangs up. And they went in that the cycle for several weeks until Boeing's like, yes, Mr. President, we'll do it for the price you originally asked for. And it's because they're so used to, whether it's Boeing or military industrial companies or whatever, they're used to just being able to name their price and the government's going to pay for it. And then they're able to just rake in all this cash for, stuff that essentially they didn't even do. And since Trump came into office, he said, nah, we're done with that. That's what's happened with the Federal Reserve here. They think that they can give a price, and then as the project goes along, just say, well, it's a little more expensive than we thought it was, so we're going to need $2.5 billion. And the problem, and where the criminal investigation comes in, is the fact that Powell testified under oath that it was going to be $1.9 million, and if it goes up at all, it's going to be for minor changes, nothing major. We're going from $1.9 billion to $2.5 billion. That's what? $600 million?
And a problem.
That's a problem. And so they're now accusing him of lying under oath. Here's what they say. This is actually a previous CNN report. It said Powell has asked the central bank's inspector general to conduct an additional review of the ongoing renovation. Last month, some Senate lawmakers grilled Powell over what they deemed as lavish upgrades to its D.C. headquarters at Powell's semi-annual monetary policy hearing. The Fed's renovation project was approved by its board in 2017 and originally cost $1.9 billion in 2019. Construction began in 2021, but the cost swelled to $2.5 billion because of, quote, unforeseen conditions requiring more spending to rectify, such as, quote, more asbestos than anticipated, toxic contamination in soil, and a higher than expected water table. That's according to the Fed's website. Last July, Jerome Powell was criminally referred to the Justice Department for prosecution. GOP Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna sent a letter to the DOJ accusing Powell of perjury. She said on June 25th, Chairman Powell provided testimony under oath before the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs regarding the renovation of the Federal Reserve's building. In his statement, he made several materially false claims. She said separately in a letter to the Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought, Chairman Powell characterized the changes that escalated the cost of the project from $1.9 to $2.5 billion as minor. However, documents reviewed by congressional investigators indicate that the scope and cost overruns of this project were neither minor in nature nor in substance. And that's when we find out yesterday it was reported that Powell is under federal criminal investigation. U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Judge Jeanine Pirro opened the investigation in November. So after that comes out, Jerome Powell hits social media immediately. And he released a very panicked response saying, well, this is false. These are false accusations and everything else. Now, I like that because I hate Jerome Powell and I want him gone. I want him gone yesterday. because he has done nothing but stifle this economy for political reasons. We could be busting this thing wide open. We could be busting the housing market wide open, but Jerome Powell doesn't want it. He was very gracious during the Biden administration with interest rates, but now all of a sudden, every indicator shows the economy is going in the right direction, yet Jerome Powell refuses to lower the rates or lower them substantially. I think we've had, for the first year, he refused to lower the rates. And then all of a sudden, the past 2 months, he's like, well, we'll do like 0.25%. Barely making a dent in all this. It's all political theater. And it's political pushback on Donald Trump. But here's the problem with all of it. The problem is Republicans. And Republicans seem to be the problem a lot. This particular problem falls in the lap of Rhino Thom Tillis, who is now, after this criminal investigation, threatening to block any Fed nominees from Donald Trump over the Jerome Powell criminal investigation. He says that he will not whatsoever allow the nomination or confirmation of a replacement for Jerome Powell. He says he will oppose any future nominee to the Fed until this legal matter is fully resolved. Great. You can listen. Anytime we get a good thing going, you can always depend. This is why Republicans are dependable. You can always depend on them to screw it up. And it's been that way for as long as I can remember. Republicans have had an uncanny ability to just take a good thing and screw it up into oblivion. So I don't like Republicans. I don't. Republicans, unfortunately, are your only choice because the other side of the aisle is effing insane. So you're stuck with them. But there's some real losers in that party. Real losers. Thom Tillis is one of them. And we've talked about it before. Like, what do we do to fix that? What can we do to reform the Republican Party? I don't know the answer outside of electing America First patriots to office or, encouraging America First patriots to run for office, which has, in fact, happened over the past few years. We've been moving in the right direction. We just haven't been moving fast enough in that direction because we still have stragglers like Thom Tillis, like Thomas Massie, like Rand Paul. These are the losers we got to get out of the party if we want to continue to move in the right direction. They're the Karens of the Republican Party. They're always mad. They always want to oppose. And it sucks. These people suck. But anyway, that's where that's going to be. Trying to hold people accountable is apparently a no-no. It's a bad thing for Thom Tillis. So he doesn't want to allow Trump to replace Jerome Powell until the criminal investigation is over, which, as you can imagine, would take a very, very long time, much like anything else in Congress or in the court system. 205-545-9950. More show coming up. More crappy news. Shouldn't be a surprise here, but I'm just trying to get the bad stuff out of the way. What a way to start your Monday, right? Let's just love starting off with bad news. But it's good to do the bad news before you get to the good news, right? So here's what I'm going to give you. A Washington State-based federal judge on Friday struck down key parts of a Trump executive order on mail-in ballots. Trump signed an executive order. He says, enough of this nonsense. We're not doing mail-in ballots. And if you do, you got to prove you're a citizen. You got to have voter ID. You got all the common sense stuff that we know would really stifle the Democrats' attempts to steal elections and ultimately overthrow the government. The real insurrectionist, if you will. His executive order required proof of citizenship on federal voter registration forms and required mail-in ballots to be received by Election Day. What a crazy thought that is. Because mail-in ballots, that's early voting, per se. And so early voting means you need to vote early, and you need to get your ballot there by Election Day. Because after Election Day, if ballots continue to pour in, then states and counting centers can say, well, we gotta wait a little longer. What if we get some more in the mail? We don't know that this is it. It's a very close race. Trump's executive order also instructed the DOJ to take action against states that count ballots that arrive after Election Day. U.S. District John Chun. This is U.S. District Judge John Chun. More like John Chud. He's a Biden appointee. He blocked certain parts of Donald Trump's March 2025 order. Says they cannot be implemented in Washington State and Oregon. He said Trump's executive order violated the Constitution's separation of powers and claimed the president exceeded his authority. Imagine being against voter ID laws. Like, we know why you're against them, but I wish you would just say it. Be like, listen, dude, we're trying to steal elections. White House responded with this. And this is just Washington and Oregon, but, I mean, if it's happening in those states, it's going to happen in other states as well. President Trump, this is from the White House, President Trump cares deeply about the integrity of our elections, and his executive order takes lawful actions to ensure election security. This is not the final say on the matter, and the administration expects ultimate victory on the issue, according to Abigail Johnson, White House spokeswoman. So John Chud knocks down several provisions in the executive order. They say, as stated by the Supreme Court, although the Constitution vests the executive power in the president, in the framework of our Constitution, the president's power to see that the laws are faithfully executed refutes the idea that he is to be a lawmaker, Chun wrote in his 75-page ruling. Imagine having to write 75 pages to say, hey, I just want Democrats to steal an election. Could have made that a lot shorter. Here's what Trump's executive order would have done. It would have created the Election Assistance Commission, which would require documentary, government-issued proof of U.S. citizenship on its voter registration forms. Agencies like the Department of Homeland Security, Social Security Administration, Department of State, they must provide states with access to federal databases to verify eligibility and citizenship of individuals registering to vote. The Attorney General will then prioritize prosecuting non-citizen voting and related crimes, including through the use of DHS records and coordinated with states' attorney generals. Federal election-related funds will be conditioned on whether states comply with the integrity measures set forth by federal law, including the requirement that states use the National Mail Voter Registration Form that will now require proof of citizenship. The order improves the integrity of elections by directing the updating of the voluntary voting system guidelines 2.0 and security standards for voting equipment and prioritizing federal grant funds accordingly. This includes requiring a voter verifiable paper ballot record and not using ballots in which the counted vote is contained within a barcode or a QR code. It directs the Attorney General to enter into information sharing agreements with state election officials to identify cases of election fraud or other election law violations. And then, if they don't, non-compliant states would face prioritizing federal enforcement of election integrity laws and loss of funding, given their unwillingness to police the fraud. The Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall prevent non-citizens from any involvement in administering elections as well. Imagine in 2026 we're having to talk about whether or not it's cool to let illegals run the elections. Let's get the illegal immigrants working the polls, counting the votes. Given clear federal laws, setting a single election day deadline, the Attorney General shall take appropriate action against the states that count ballots received after Election Day in federal elections. Federal election funding will be conditioned on compliance. The Attorney General will prioritize enforcement of laws prohibiting foreign nationals from contributing to or donating in U.S. elections. All agencies must report on compliance with undoing Biden Executive Order 14019, which turned federal agencies into Democratic voter turnout centers. And listen, the Democrats don't really have an argument to make here, because when Biden was in office, they wanted to hand over the entire election infrastructure to the federal government, to the Attorney General. They wanted Merrick Garland running the entire country's elections, which would have been a disaster.